Hi, I'm Jason Gray. Would you like to know how to really multiply your church? Maybe spread the word of God around your community? Or maybe you're just more interested in the business side of things and you'd like to see your business or things around you rapidly grow. If you said yes or you have interest in any of those areas, stay tuned for this week's book breakdown. All right, this week we are looking at How to Multiply Your Church by Ralph Moore. Fascinating book. It's the first book I've read of this kind, and I learned a lot. And this is something I'm going to go back and reread again in some later years to make sure that I've retained the knowledge, but also maybe when I'm a little more ready for the direct message, I'll be able to apply it better. What's fascinating is at the very beginning of this book, it was going back to talking about World War II and relating how the United States and the Allies were successful in World War II at a certain point, and how that relates to multiplying a church or getting out there and spreading the word of God. One of the things they really pointed out there was it was a sheer overcoming the enemy with numbers, all right? And that's really Ralph Moore's philosophy here, is finding a way to quickly overcome the enemy with numbers, all right? It talks about if you want to multiply churches or even a business, you have to have vision, a strong vision, a passionate one, a big vision that includes a lot of people and really gets people moving and marching to the same beat. So ask yourself, what is your vision? Is it big enough? That's the key. Is it big enough? He was talking with people in a several million people city, and this group of church planters were saying, okay, we're gonna plant 100 churches here. That's a pretty big vision, right? Planting 100 churches. And Ralph said the sad part about that vision is it actually took 400 planted churches to reach all those people. And to dream or to have a goal or vision of between 100 or 400 from today, not much different, just a little bit bigger, but the outcome will be so dramatic. So thinking bigger and speaking bigger, that includes everyone's important. He brings it back to the Bible and how did Paul start churches and support churches. And first off, he talked about first you have to convert people, okay? There's the guest speaker. Zardel, sit down because we're talking to me.
Hi.
Okay.
Right now, I'm gonna show you my toy. This is Ghost. Wait, I need to show you my pet.
Okay, honey, I'm doing this video.
I'm gonna show you.
So, first off, Paul has to work on. Look at Paul and what he did is he worked on first converting people, okay, and then quickly turning them into disciples, and then through the disciples he would build a church. And he would get an elder to take over, or somebody with the leadership or experience, take over and run that church, and he would leave. And he would send letters and mailings with some instruction or encouragement, and that was it. So these people in the early days who were starting or running those churches, weren't extreme experts, knowledgeable or educated or went through college. No, these were people that got the passion, got some information, and went and made it happen, okay? And if you think about Ralph's process here in the book, what he's talking about is pruning. So I'm not an expert with plants either, but if you have plants or things growing and you prune them, you snip them off a little bit, they regrow and they regrow bigger and stronger, and you could spread out the seed and the clippings and things everywhere and have plants and seeds and everything spread out everywhere in such a harvest compared to just having the one plant in the one area just sitting there the way it is forever. So with the church, you're talking about the exact same thing, and you think about your business, and I even think about mine doing the exact same thing, is we get some people trained up, good people, leadership people with passion, okay? We give them the vision, and we set them free to go do it with minimal support. Not to say they're going to drown or not have any support, but we don't need to micromanage it. One, it gets too expensive, and two, it doesn't let people be who they want to be. Also, if you give a lot of responsibility to a leader or a budding leader, they're going to really fight for it and make it work, make it happen, and they're going to think of of creative ways to get things going. And guess what they're going to do? If they go from the big church or the big office and they go out there on their own with a small group, they're naturally going to want to quickly get back to the big group, right? So they're going to multiply. And then more people get reached, right? Isn't that exciting? Much better than one who gets one addition. And lastly, the book talks about having church anywhere. People will have restrictions about, oh, I can't get a big enough building or a fancy building, or it's too expensive, or they won't let me in. Look, church is not a building. It's people. It's community. Okay? So you could do it in houses, in basements, rented area, maybe at school, whatever. They were talking about here a chiropractic clinic, a bar, okay, a massage place, a school, basically anywhere where there's some people that they could talk to and start building community and building church, they would do it. Now, if it was in an area like a bar, of course they're eliminating the alcohol and different distractions and things that perceive negative and things of the world that we don't really want to encourage, right? But nonetheless, you're going to reach more people if you go to them, if you're in their community, if you've got people to connect to them on a grand scale, all right? So, and another big takeaway here, I think I mentioned a little bit, was that he's not necessarily advocating for people to go to 4, 5, 6 years of college and getting all the doctrine and things like that to be a pastor. Now, while that's nice, a lot of people can't afford it, or if they do, then they take their mind and heart away from shepherding or being a disciple or to growing a church at the exact moment. So what he's talking about is for people to think of working while also starting a church, or working while also being a pastor, bivocational, until things get big enough so they can just do the pastoring. But also not to be so hung up on having the college degree or all that extra stuff. It's know enough and get mentored, keep growing yourself, but get out there and share what you know and to keep growing. So I think a lot of us could take away those tips and not put as much pressure on ourselves and get involved in the movement of multiplication to whatever degree we really want to. And I hope that you guys take advantage of these tips and do it with your church and potentially your own businesses and all the other groups that you have in your life. Prune them up, let them go and multiply, and join me in the pursuit of greatness.